Thank you very much for watching. My name is Dr. Angelika Strohmayer and I'm at Northumbria University. I'm going to be presenting a paper I co-authored with Janis, Lena, Meissner and Alexander Wilson at Newcastle University, as well as Sarah Charlton and Laura Mcintyre at Changing Lives. This paper is called We Come Together as One and Hope for Solidarity to Live on Designing Technologies for Activism and the Commemoration of Lost Lives. Our paper sits alongside HCI's ongoing discussions on justice-oriented interaction design and design justice. And with this paper, we provide two main contributions. First, we contribute an example of how justice-oriented technologies can be creatively integrated into service delivery to contribute to existing services, provide new forms of interaction, and support the importance of people, creativity, and care work. We do this through the development of an interactive living archive, which we have titled the Red Umbrella Archive. This is to commemorate an important day in the sex worker rights calendar, International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers. Second, we contribute two ways of understanding the design of digital technologies aimed at supporting commemorative activities and activism with stigmatized communities. This work sits alongside other work in HCI about anti-stigma and anti-violence work, and specifically work that relates to movements towards more socially just worlds. In the paper, I particularly highlight Allard and Ferris's work on the sex worker database, as well as Durant et al.'s project to commemorate the Rwandan genocide. Taking these two projects together, we learned that it is not only the process of collection, curation, and maintenance of an archive which are important, but that the underlying justice-oriented ethos of these processes and the work and activism that surrounds the archives are integral to the work itself. By discussing not only the archive itself, but also the ways in which it relates to the local commemoration of International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers, we learned that technologies can become useful in such settings beyond their original intention and to bridge personal experience and communal political struggles. By placing the focus on communal, collaborative, as well as personal reflection and empowerment, we see a potential role for technologies in building collections of experiences that have multifaceted impacts on individuals, communities, and the development of future technologies. As the name indicates, International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers is an international day of action to end violence perpetrated against sex workers, and to remember and commemorate those who have been victims of violence. The day was introduced by Dr. Annie Sprinkle and colleagues at the Sex Work Outreach Project in the USA in 2003 as a response to the heinous acts of violence perpetrated by Gary Ridgway. In an open letter, Sprinkle writes, "When Ridgway was finally caught, I felt a need to memorialize my horror sisters that had died so horribly and needlessly. I cared, and I knew that other people cared too." Towards the end of the letter, she also encourages people to do memorials, vigils, and their chosen kind of events in their countries and cities. These kinds of public actions often take place at or around activist marches, sometimes referred to as Red Umbrella Marches. This kind of action started in 2001 as part of the 49th Venice Biennale of Art by a Slovenian artist who collaborated with sex workers. In their living installation titled Prostitute Pavilion and Code Red, sex workers marched along socio-historically important geographies of Venice to draw attention to bad working conditions and human rights abuses perpetrated against sex workers. They used red umbrellas and megaphones to draw attention to themselves. This particular project follows the principles of feminist participatory action research. This particular methodology aims to understand the world by taking action through continually evolving cycles of planning, acting, and reflecting, and acknowledging the researcher and co-researcher's standpoints in doing so. Management and support staff were heavily involved in the development of this project and took an active role in developing research practices, organizing and facilitating activities, reflecting on the research process, as well as writing a report on this paper. Given the nature of this work, as well as Balam et al.'s implications related to emotion work and experience-centered design, we found it important to reflect on and be candid in our reporting of the emotional nature of the research, as well as the personal impact attending the march and commemorative services had on us as authors. Staff have very close relationships to the women whom they support and will have known the women who are being remembered on that day. We as researchers also felt the emotions of the day and were present in the moment with, rather than like, the service users, building on Bennett et al.'s work from 2019. Changing Lives services reach out and engage people who have varied experiences and different identities. They use a people-centered approach and, wherever possible, avoid labeling people who use their services, as this may be a barrier to engagement. All of their services and projects are part of the Changing Lives theory of change. This includes the stage of being, where there is a process of reaching out to meet people where they are at. Belonging, where there's a provision of therapeutic group work and programs. And becoming, where the development of positive social networks and community integration opportunities to work towards a safe and flourishing future with service users is the focus. In the paper, we present 3 different activities that took place, which are illustrated here. First, a public commemoration, the Red Umbrella March. This was a public activity led by the people who use services, which brought together different stakeholders working to support and protect sex workers in Newcastle. Second, a private commemoration. This is a service of remembrance. Third, there's a semi-public commemoration, the crafting of the archive. This process involved the crafting of umbrellas and recording of audio messages to create the physical artifacts and audio data necessary to later develop the digital version of the archive. The components and interactions that make up the Red Umbrella archive contain 4 elements. 1, the crafting of new pieces to be added to the archive. 2, the exploring of existing entries of the archive by interacting with the physical artifact. 3, the digital exploration of the archive via the private, locally hosted website. And 4, the reading of the report and tangible documentation. In the paper, we provide detailed descriptions of our experiences of attending the day, as well as some of the ways in which women interacted with the archive. Now, I simply want to read to you a poem that one of the women involved in the project wrote. 17th of December 2017, an umbrella with the colour red is seen. No matter the race or the class, we come together as one to stop violence against sex workers and hope for solidarity to live on. As you can see on the slide, there's a picture of a red umbrella with the word voiceless written on it. And this was the umbrella that the woman who wrote this poem created. By foregrounding emotion work and the multiplicity of experience, for example in the ways we understand the diversity of Changing Lives service users, or the kinds of commemorative activities that were provided in the service, we are able to design technologies that become meaningful in various ways, where a single technology, digital or not, can function in different ways. This is perhaps not an entirely new proposition, but in the current climate of platform development and attempts to generalize user groups, we feel this is an important point to re-emphasize. We call for more nuance in designing technologies for personal reflection and communal commemoration to support the laying of groundwork for existing anti-stigma campaigns at multiple levels, and to see this work as part of the development of a prefigurative politic. We argue that the Red Umbrella Archive is an example of such a technology. We crafted it to create a reflexive and introspective bridge between the collective activism on the march and the multimedia remembrance activities, connecting emotional experiences of loss and commemoration with political struggles, solidarity, and anti-violence work. Seeing the ways in which digital technologies were already being used as catalysts at this commemorative day, we would encourage other HCI researchers designing technologies for commemoration to see them not only as ways of staying connected with those who have been deceased, or even as a way of documenting and remembering, but also as a catalyst of reflection, remembrance, or action. To see technologies as more than conduits of interaction, and instead see them as catalysts for personal and communal action and interaction towards building better worlds. The Red Umbrella Archive and interactions around it were able to support reflections not only on the particular activity, but also the ways in which this specific act of remembrance is situated in relation to other commemorations of December 17th and the plight of sex worker rights movement as a whole. With this, we want to reiterate that the underlying justice-oriented ethos of these processes, as well as the work and activism that surrounds the archives, are important. Similar to how Assad describes the process of prefigurative politic as a method of design justice. As such, technologies that are designed for international days of commemoration should be designed with a justice-oriented ethos at its core, to layer not only the experiences of those using the technologies, but also to layer the meaning of this interaction to reflect the duality of these kinds of days, that of communal commemoration and activism and advocacy work. We encourage HCI researchers and designers to continue to work towards holistic understandings of our research participants, our partners, as well as the socio-economic situations within which we work. This has been a presentation about We Come Together as One and Hope for Solidarity to Live On Designing Technologies for Activism and the Commemoration of Lost Lives for the DIS 2020 conference. Thank you very much.